Have myself a real good time. I feel alive, and the world I'm turning.
I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do another one of those videos. I am very happy to reach 2,000 subscribers. I owe a thank you to DJarm67 for reposting my 3-part Venom Fang X series that helped give me another 170 subscribers quite quickly. So for this video, I'm going to do something simple. I'm joined via Skype with user AlmightyAtheismo. Say hello.
How's it going?
And we're going to be going over. I'm breaking my lamp. We're going over this website called clarifyingchristianity.com. Specifically, they have a page called Science in the Bible, where they claim that that the Bible is not contradicted by science at all. What do you think of this webpage so far?
It starts off really strong. It says the Bible is not a science book. There you go. I mean, there's the most intellectual honesty I've ever seen from an apologist website to
they got something right.
But then they immediately do a faceplant by saying, yet it is scientifically accurate.
Ah, damn.
It goes on to say, we are not aware of any, in italics, scientific evidence that contradicts the Bible, because they have either dropped out of grade school or this webpage had its HTML typed by Helen Keller. We have listed the statements on this page that are consistent with known scientific facts. Many of them were listed in the Bible hundreds or even thousands of years before being recorded elsewhere. Now here's the thing that always gets me about people who say either the Bible or the Quran predicts a scientific discovery. I talk about this all the time. Back when supposedly the Ark of the Covenant and its design specifications were given to the Israelites, the people of the Near East didn't have wheelbarrow technology. And I always say, a wheelbarrow would have been a much better technological achievement and a much more useful thing to have than the Ark of the Covenant. And it's just one of the many things that were totally overlooked.
Well, let's go through the first part. Statements consistent with astronomy.
This is a good one.
The Bible frequently refers to the great number of stars in the heavens, because blessings, Genesis 22:17. Blessing, I will bless you, and multiplying, I will multiply your descendants as the stars of the heavens and as the sand which is on the seashore, and your descendants shall possess the gate of enemies.
So apparently Abraham had an infinite number of children. I love this, the great number of stars in the heavens. This is one of the things that supposedly holy books predict that they don't really predict. You can look up and see the stars.
Yes, there's a lot of stars. That's what they predicted in the Bible.
Yeah, and if you go down, it says the Bible also says that each star is unique, and that's supposedly a prediction. And then these jackasses say all stars look alike to the naked eye. Now this is such an absolute belly flop of ignorance. Even the ancient peoples predating the biblical times, moving across the Indian Ocean, were able to traverse these vast distances from East Africa to the Indian subcontinent, Sri Lanka, and the islands south of there, all the way through Polynesia. They could not have done so unless they were able to navigate by the stars. And anyone who has taken the simplest crash course in astronomy knows immediately how to identify the North Star by its brightness and the major constellations. The assertion that all stars look alike to the naked eye is such a profoundly deep, ignorant statement. It's just incredible. These people just dropped out of grade school.
All right, let's go on. Okay, statements consistent with meteorology. This is something interesting. The Bible describes the circulation of the atmosphere. I think we've heard something similar to this before.
Yeah, much has been made of how they got
the jet stream. Here it says Ecclesiastes 1:6. The wind goes towards the south and turns around to the north. The wind whirls about continually and comes again as a circuit.
Yeah.
It's not that way. That's not the way air currents flow.
Right. Well, the Japanese
Ouch.
tried to use the jet stream to use balloon bombs against the U.S. And they did hit the Western United States, not Australia. So yeah, this is something where not only have they failed to predict.
Use Wikipedia, damn it! I mean, they could have.
Yeah. They have just thrust right in our faces better proof against the accuracy of biblical quote-unquote prophecy than we could have gone if we had really rummaged around ourselves looking for things specifically to debunk it.
They know that the wind blows, okay? They knew that.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, in ancient China, they had these very simple pinwheels, you give to children, like today at fairs, and then you just walk around and the wind blows and turns them. Yeah, that's a great prophecy indeed.
All right, statements consistent with biology.
This should be good.
Yeah, this is Book of Leviticus, written prior to 1400 BC, describes the value of blood, because apparently it took because apparently nobody knew apparently nobody could tell in those days that if you bleed that people bled to death when their arteries were cut open.
Yeah, well, it describes apparently the Book of Leviticus in describing the value of blood predicted the William Shakespeare writing The Merchant of Venice. Too bad the Bible didn't predict the pound of flesh.
For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that makes atonement for the soul. Yeah, that has nothing to do with that Shakespearean line, and it's such a simplistic biological fact, if you can call it that bleeding is bad. That why they can attribute that to divine knowledge, I'm not sure how they made that leap.
Yeah, well, it's an assertion in a wide variety of early, more primitive cultures that blood carries some sort of spiritual power and so forth.
The four humors.
I think most people who are aware of Eastern philosophy or martial arts have bumped into the concept of chi. It's one of those empty assertions made by technologically unsophisticated people. Statements consistent with anthropology. We have cave painting. I love how they just throw everything into this one bin. We have cave paintings and other evidence that people inhabited caves. The Bible also describes cavemen. I mean, Job 30, verses 5 and 6. They were driven out from among men. They shouted at them as at a thief. They had to live in the clefts of the valleys, in the caves of the earth as rocks. I mean, being driven from your home and being forced to live in exile in a cave is not the same thing as actually inhabiting a cave on a full-time basis.
It's not that big of a leap. I mean, people hide out. I mean, people who are lost in the wilderness these days will hide in a cave if there's one available.
Yeah. Well, and then it says, note that these were not ape men, but descendants of those who scattered from Babel.
It doesn't describe Neanderthals.
Yeah, well, the whole Tower of Babel thing, I mean, that in particular just makes me laugh because I'm a huge paleolinguistic enthusiast, and I can tell you all of the major, basically there was this distillation from a system of clicks, grunts, and hoots that apes make to the languages we know now, and it began just in the area north of Lake Victoria. The whole notion of there being one language there once being one language and it beginning in somewhere in the Mesopotamia region is just not supported by any shred of evidence.
Things in the Bible that science cannot explain. The purpose of this page is not to explain what a great science text the Bible is, but to show that it is consistent with scientific facts. Still, the Bible mentions some things that we cannot explain.
Yeah.
So, how do you know those are science? How do you know those are scientific facts?
Yeah. Well, here's one that a Christian I spoke to recently didn't believe was in the Bible. It's in Genesis chapter 30, verses 37 through 39. Where a man takes some goats and some other livestock, and basically he would take some rods, and if he had the goats mate in front of a striped rod, they would give birth to striped goats. If it was a speckled rod, they give birthed a speckled or spotted goats, and if it was a clean rod with no speckles or spots, they would give. It was just absolutely absurd, and they did not believe me, and had to do some pretty frantic backpedaling when I actually showed them the verse.
That's gonna hurt.
Again, like I joked about how when at the top they said the Bible is not a science book, how that was a good start. It also ends on a strong note by saying the Bible mentions some things that we cannot explain, especially if we refers to Christian apologists. The Bible contains almost exclusively things that cannot be explained or supported by any kind of empirical evidence. Even the sober historical accounts in the books of Kings, First and Second Kings, First and Second Chronicles. Increasingly, there's this dearth of forensic and what's the word I'm looking for? There's just a complete lack of archaeological evidence supporting those, much less these bizarre pseudoscientific claims.